Welcome back to the Right Away After Party. And we are here in the middle of a session about query letters. And so Nick is going to talk to you about this topic. Go ahead, Nick.
Hi, I'm Nick, and Kath is going to join me. She's done this before as well. I'm just a little bit more like I'm new to it. So I landed my agent last June. So it's been about 6 months now that I've had an agent, and it's just really exciting. So the last session, if you want to go back to episode 1, we talked about, the person, who is this person? Who is this agent that you're looking for? Now we're going to talk about how do you find that person? How do you go about looking for an agent? Now, there's so many ways to do this. There are so many ways. And I would suggest you try all of them. I wouldn't just stick to one. I would try a lot of them. You can
Mm.
find agents at conferences. You can find agents at different workshops. You can sign up for their workshops. You can find agents in interviews. A lot of them have interviews, and there are some really great channels out there that have um, interviews. Kidlit 4111. They also talk really openly about agents on that application. I think it's on Facebook. It's called Kidlit 411. There's also a fantastic podcast called The Shit You Do Not Know About Writing, or you thought it you didn't know about writing. It's a really great podcast, and all they do is really just they break down query letters, they read query letters, they talk to successful authors that found agents from their query letters, and my query letter was featured on their podcast as well. So I
Do you remember
really,
what number?
huh?
Do you remember what number, what
I
date it was
don't I
featured?
don't remember what number the
Oh,
episode was. I
okay.
probably should know that offhand, but I don't remember offhand. But I mean, either way, that podcast is fantastic. I would suggest going on that podcast
Mm.
to get to understand. And another thing too is like listen in on the successful authors and what agents they went to. And if you have a book that's kind of similar but different, maybe send to that agent. Another thing that you could look at is Query Tracker. Now, Query Tracker is what I use the most. It's probably the thing that really like drew me in last year because it was an all inclusive, and I bought the premium package because it keeps a tally of all the different manuscripts that you have. It also keeps a track of all the agents you've solicited, and it keeps a track of all the houses you solicited. So if you click on an agent accidentally in a different house and they're like, oh no, you already sent to 3 agents in that house, like like, oh, maybe they made this not the right agency for me. So unfortunately, you have to kind of, once three strikes is a charm, and like I would be like, no, that agency is not for me. Um, but it really kept everything organized. It's kind of like a project manager in a way, Query Tracker, and it wasn't very expensive, and I would really highly recommend that one. Another thing I did was I wrote down agents. I alphabetically wrote them down, and I wrote down like kind of like who they were, what they kind of like were looking for. And I also kept my ears open to all of my friends because they were all querying as well. And so I would listen to like what they said, like, oh, that agent didn't get back to them. Oh, they never heard back from that agent. Oh, that's not on my checklist of what I'm looking for in an agent. So I wouldn't want to send to that agent. So, not knowing who you don't want to send to is just as important as who you want to send to because you don't want to waste your time and you don't want to get your hopes up. So I really recommend that you start looking at that checklist from the very first episode and then looking at who is available. Make sure you go under when you find an agent too that you're really interested in. And you're like, oh, this agent would be perfect. And so go under their website, check out their bio, make sure that they are open right now to receiving queries. So that's a huge thing too. Like you don't want to waste your time or their time because they're going to come back and they're just going to dump their inbox. They're not going to look at anything that they weren't open for. So if you don't match that date, then when they're open, they're just going to dump it. They're not going to, I don't even think they're going to look at it. They're probably going to be like, those 370 emails that they got while they were on vacation, they probably would just, I don't know. I can see it happening. I don't know for sure, but in my wildest imagination, that's what happens. We're gonna have an agent on soon, and we'll ask them like what they do. with those emails they get when they're not open. Um, because I think that's part of like following the process. I think they do that on purpose because they want to see how you follow instruction, because you're going to have to follow their instruction at some point, and you're also going to have to like trust them. Trusting an agent is probably like a really important step, because you don't want to do their job for them. You want them to make sure that they're going to do their job.
Yeah.
So,
I just want to jump in and throw in something here that when this whole process of getting an agent is all
mhm.
part of building your backbone. Because here's the deal. We thought we had a backbone when we were writing, and we shared our writing with our critique group or a friend, and they came back to us and they weren't maybe very nice, or maybe they said things we didn't expect, etc., etc. Then we get somebody to help us proof the book, and then they're going to say some things. And so, we're going to struggle through that. Getting your agent again, you're going to grow. But guess what? Once you've got the agent, it's not all rainbows and unicorns then, because you've got the whole editorial process. You have, as Nick said, the waiting. Is the agent going to call me back? Is my book going to be requested? What's going to happen? So again, we're growing our backbone. Most important thing, and then I'll give you back to Nick, is keep writing. Whatever your next project is, keep writing while you're submitting this one. Keep your creative juices flowing. Don't wait for this little project to make it up there and have this empty hole,
Yeah.
because it's very disheartening. It can be very disheartening. Oh, back to you, Nick.
No, no, I love what you said. I love what you said. And I think that's really vital. That's really important. I mean, who your agent's going to be, that's going to be a reflection on you too. Like, I mean, you're going to, are you looking for an agent that's going to like, you want to find someone that's going to be complementary to you, not someone that's going to
Hmm.
supersede you. You don't want to just like be a meek person in this process. Like, you want to be a full partner,
Right.
in this process.
Right.
And I try to support my agent just like how he tries to support me. I mean, this during the holiday season, I wrote him an email and just said, I hope you have a really happy holiday, and I hope you get to relax and not worry about anything. And we'll
Hmm.
pick up in January.
And we're coming back to part three.
Yes.
We're out of time.
All
So
right. So in part 3, we'll come back and we'll talk about the actual selling yourself.